Hi, this is Dr. Justin Marcacciani here, and today's talk is going to be on PMS and blood sugar. So this is a common theme that comes to my office with most of my female patients. So PMS, what is PMS? Well, essentially, this is your female cycle right here. This is how hormones fluctuate throughout the month. So typically here we have our first half of the cycle. This is known as our follicular phase. This is where the follicle is growing. From that follicle that is growing, an egg pops up or erupts from that follicle. This is the follicular phase. We'll write F there for follicular phase. The second half of the cycle is going to be our luteal phase. L there for luteal. And this is where progesterone dominates. We have our corpus luteum, which is the scar in which our egg erupts. So our egg erupts. This is the scar here that then produces progesterone in the second half of the cycle. First half of the cycle, again, this is going to be predominantly estrogen. And you can see down here, the red estrogen predominates. And the second half of the cycle is predominantly progesterone. And progesterone is the progestational hormone. It's the pregnancy hormone. When someone gets pregnant, what they're actually measuring is a hormone called HCG or beta HCG, which is actually produced from the corpus luteum. So we have beta HCG. And that stimulates progesterone. So if you were doing a month-long hormone panel and you got pregnant during that month-long hormone panel, what would you see is literally progesterone go right off the charts. That's how that look. So now when we look at PMS, what is PMS? It's premenstrual syndrome. So menstruation's occurring right here where all those hormones drop. So what PMS is are the symptoms that happen in this area, right? PMS are the symptoms that happen in this area, typically between 1 week to 3 or 4 days ahead of time. Again, if a woman is healthy and hormone balanced, PMS or their period essentially sneaks up on them. There really isn't much symptoms and it's just, oh, you bled that day. And that's how it should be. But again, let's talk about what's actually driving the problem in the first place. So when we see here, this part of our cycle right here is the luteal phase. So progesterone dominates. And if we look at a hormonal cascade, what you're going to see is progesterone is funneled down into cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that has to do with stress, inflammation, and also blood sugar. So when we look at that, if someone's stressed and their blood sugar is wacky, guess what starts to happen? Is literally this progesterone starts falling out like so. It starts falling out of balance like this, and then we have this massive deficit. And this tends to be what drives all the PMS, is that drop in progesterone. And as more stress happens, what you're also going to see is perturbations in estrogen. What that means basically is your estrogen kind of spikes up and down, and each up and down drop tends to be a migraine or some type of female hormone symptom. So when we work with patients that have these issues, we're trying to smooth these out. And foundationally, diet and lifestyle is key. The biggest stressor on the hormonal system is blood sugar instability. So we have to make sure blood sugar is stable. Once it's stable, that's important. There's been studies that look at type 1 diabetic women, for instance, and the studies looked at the fact that these women actually get more insulin resistant in the second half of the cycle. And I predict, and the research kind of concludes that, is that progesterone is more than likely the culprit behind that. What they've also found with women that have PCOS, this is polycystic ovarian syndrome, what happens with these women is their progesterone levels actually get modulated and improve with a drug called metformin. And the metformin medication is actually designed to improve insulin sensitivity. So it's actually helping with blood sugar. So this drug helps with blood sugar, and on the other hand, improves progesterone levels. So that's a key connection that I'm kind of threading in here. So if we can make sure adrenal output is good, because adrenals are half of where these sex hormones come from, and we can come and put someone on a cyclical augmentation program using herbs and using potentially bioidentical estrogen and making the diet and lifestyle changes, we can potentially fix all of these up and downs, all this roller coaster ride in the second half of the cycle. So most of the reason why, let's kind of recap here, most of the reason why women have PMS symptoms in the second half of the cycle is because that's the cycle that progesterone predominates. Progesterone will get funneled downstream to manage blood sugar. So if blood sugar is up and down, progesterone goes downstream. That downstream drop in progesterone, that downstream drop, so we see the hashes here, that's where the PMS symptoms are going to come in because blood sugar is being thwarted. The body automatically says we have to tend to blood sugar. Who cares if we have these PMS symptoms? We'll live. Blood sugar is more important. So my recommendations based off of the physiology and the hormones that we know of is that we have to make sure women, especially in the second half of the cycle, are choosing high quality fats, proteins, and the right carbohydrates to stabilize their blood sugar. I get it, you may have a sweet craving, you need to cheat. Choose some high quality dark chocolate. Never have these things on an empty stomach. Choose a sweet potato, put some grass-fed butter on it with some cinnamon. Use some unsweetened coconut ice cream. Use a Hail Mary tart. Only have these things after a good balanced meal with healthy animal protein and healthy plant matter, ideally non-starchy variety. This is a great way to actually help balance out your hormones, take stress off your endocrine system, take stress off your adrenals and your blood sugar system, and really start to help balance out that luteal phase of your cycle. If you're having any issues or you want to address your female hormones or your PMS issues or your infertility issues, feel free and reach out to get more information below about myself. I hope you enjoyed this video and there's more to come. Thanks. Dr. Justin signing off.